Welcome to Hip Hop Now Podcast. If you're from the future, you know what to do. Get your ass out of here. Don't disrespect the legend. Hip Hop is here to stay. Let's get right into the business.
What up? Drop comments. Talk about this. You know, you gotta be dramatic. You gotta let you be live for a little taste. What up, y'all? You hear me, fine? What about now? Y'all can hear me? There we go. Man. All right. Shout out to Make Love and Beat. On the track. Track down a little bit. What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Hip Hop Now Podcast Reviews. I am your host, Vegas, of Hip Hop Now Podcast. And all season long, we've been reviewing the final season, season 3 of Wu-Tang, an American Saga, a Hulu series. I've had a number of guests on the show to talk about each episode, to talk about their love for Wu-Tang Clan when they first, discovered Wu-Tang, where they were, the track they first heard, whatever it may be. And I want to give a shout out to those people that, participated. It did really well, and it was really fun to do that. But now, you are the guest on this show, and we're going to be reviewing the final episode. This is the season, not only the season finale, but the series finale of this show, and I just watched it not too long ago, so it's a little fresh in my mizan at the moment, but I want to hear from you. So the entire time I'm going to talk about this episode, I want you to drop comments in the comments section. I'm going to read those comments. I'm going to display those comments. Obviously, keep them clean. And we're just going to talk about it, man. We're going to talk about how we felt about this episode and how we felt about the series as a whole. Now, question for you before I get started. What did you think about the final episode? Was it a great episode to end a series that you loved? Did you have some mixed feelings about the series as a whole, this episode in particular? I know there were instances where some of my guests felt like this season was going, pretty quick. They weren't really feeling all of that, the speed of it. But as you know, and as everybody knows, this is the final season. So what are you going to do? You know what I'm saying? What are you going to do at the end of the point? But my feelings on the final episode, which was entitled Triumph, is it was cool. It was cool. I think it did feel like there was a lot being crammed in, and we're going to talk about those elements or whatever, but there was a lot that I was like, well, damn, they're trying to knock that out. They're trying to draw back to that. They're trying to do that. They're trying to move on to that. And part of that I didn't like, but by the end I was like, all right, cool. I don't want to expect a little bit too much about them, but nevertheless, hold up. Big shout out to Eddie, who also appeared on the show. What you saying? It was an interesting format. Are you talking about the way the episode played out, or what? You know a little bit more about that. But for me, I just feel like there was a lot there, and it was a lot to digest, especially, and this is the thing I thought about the entire time, especially for someone that doesn't know Wu-Tang as intimate as day one fans do, or anybody who's a major fan. There's certain things we were anticipating, and just so you know, and if you've never seen the show before, or you don't know the history, the whole Hot 97 thing being blackballed, it did not happen. But I wasn't mad at it because other things happened. Eddie says he was talking about the episode. It's interesting format. Let's see. What else we got here in the comments? Curtis75 Black says, it was a good one. I think they stopped at the right time. No need to get into flops and whatnot. Ray's second project. Yeah, how about that? How about that? Who else we got in here? It was good overall. I feel the morale of the story is family involved and have different callings, but at the end of the day, family is family, and Wu-Tang is forever. Word up. A lot of egos when people start getting big. Hell yeah. And what's so crazy about that as a Wu-Tang fan, you know that's on the way, right? Everybody's feelings and all that, it's on the way. But to see it in the final episode, you're like, the whole time, I ain't gonna front y'all, the whole time I was like, yo, Ray, like, relax. You're getting ready to drop a dud, man, relax. How are you gonna talk about beats? But we'll get into it. All right. So let's talk about, right, the episode, and there's a number of threads that were going on in this episode, and I'm not gonna point out all of them because there was a lot they had to close the loop on. But in general, let's get into the first, I guess, thread that I'm identifying. So RZA wants to create a new sound for the Wu going forward. He feels like they need to be bigger. He feels like they need to evolve. And I'm not going to say I wasn't mad at the notion. We know we got what we got back in '97, but I was like, yeah, I kind of like his way of thinking, because when you think about when we all talked about Into the Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers, everybody's experience was when they heard the songs, they was like, yo, what is this? I never heard anything like that before. And that was RZA feeling like not only he had to put his own imprint on the hip hop game, but he, in a lot of ways, wanted to evolve it. And I think he did with his techniques, right? So with Wu-Tang Forever, he was searching for that again. So the scene opens up. RZA has musicians in the Wu Mansion, on some symphony stuff. And he doesn't really even know how to direct them as far as what he's looking for. So he gets them to play. The whole time, I'm not thinking Jizza and Master Killer. I recognized them this time, y'all, because the whole season I was like, who the fuck is that? But it was Master Killer. But this time I was like, yo, cool, whatever. And I felt like I get it, right? They're working on the Wu-Tang album and they're looking at RZA like, what the hell is going on? Obviously, Raekwon pulls up and he verbalizes what everyone's thinking about this whole situation, which is crazy. Let's see some comments. So let's see what Curtis says. I definitely agreed with RZA. Got to keep the imagination strong. Don't do the same old. Yeah, I agree. Eddie says musicians were looking at RZA like, what the hell are you talking about? Halloween. Yeah, I thought that was weird because I was like, Halloween, like what kind of direction is that? But I guess he was trying to find the sound is different from searching through records in a sample and waiting to hear it versus trying to direct somebody to play what you want. What else we have in the comments? RZA's creative genius was off the charts, and the Wu-Tang Forever album was proof. Agreed. I think what's so dope about it is like when you hear Reunited, right? You hear the musicians and it makes sense now, right? Oh, these beats are actually dope. What RZA was trying to do makes sense. One thing that stood out to me, and I don't know if it stood out to y'all, was the fact that Ghost was right here with him the whole time. He was like let him work, trust him. He's the Abbott, he's a genius. Let him work. And I thought that was kind of dope to show the dynamic because who's been the guy who's been skeptical and nervous and almost not trusting the majority of this series has been Ghostface. And he was the main one who was like calm, like, nah, let him do that. So I thought that was a dope dynamic to see that, you know what I mean? But nevertheless, we all know the story. RZA eventually found the sound he wanted from these musicians, and it played out through the album. Another thread in the show was contract woes. Now, this is something that had been building forever, no pun intended. Now, this is like a long-standing kind of a debate about people when they sign contracts to become recording artists. Now, I'm gonna just say this straight out. You can't expect people who come from poverty, where not saying everybody, but the trend around the hood, or what's pretty much common around the hood, is the fact that people aren't educated, right? And not educated in math and science and stuff like that, but just educated about laws or in this case, the record industry. And in this situation, they're trusting their brothers who had done the work to find out, how to run a business, how to do things. And now you see it coming to a head where guys feel like, hey, yo, you making a decision for the clan, as far as what shows we're going to do, what type of music. Previously, it felt more like, and I'm not mad at them because kind of did. Previously, it felt more like community decisions, even though the guys that were in charge were Divine and RZA, and Power to another extent. It was crazy, and I forgot about that one thing about the Wu having the largest hip hop uh, contract at that point in time, which I felt like they deserved. I wonder if RZA really called it as far as, you know, yo, give us 4 million because we're gonna have the number one album. That was bold. Be dope if it really happened, but who knows? Let's get into some comments real quick. Shout out to My Type of Hype podcast. What's good? Don't you think Raekwon was portrayed real argumentative this episode? His energy was off last few seasons. I would say no. You know why? Because you know what? The first time I really caught wind of Raekwon in real life acting that way was with the 8 Diagrams album. Because he was reacting the same way to the production. Now, with 8 Diagrams, I feel like he was right. Does anybody like the 8 Diagrams album? Because nobody brings that album up. But I remember at that time they were arguing, about the sound, and this was before it came out. Raekwon was really vocal in the public about not liking the direction. I feel like maybe it was another situation where RZA was trying to go to that next level, but sometimes you gotta pull it back a little bit. Pull it back a little bit. RZA, you can't keep creating the game over every time. Curtis says he felt bad for INS. Yeah, man. For those who don't know, Rebel INS, Inspector Deck, you feel like this dude was waiting for an eternity to get a deal, and all he did was put up some of the dopest verses ever. BX Pupil, what you say? I'm still laughing at my little brother Omar taking our hip hop tapes and dubbing over them. We called them Tame Flame for a while. Okay. Everybody got their little stories and stuff about that stuff. Let's see. Eddie says, bruh, Raekwon had a bigger ego along with the success that he experienced with the purple tape. This is true. Now, again, as we went further, he had a point, like the 8 Diagrams was trash and it was time to reel it back, but he didn't. What else? A couple of people say they like the few songs off of 8 Diagrams. Just a few, not entirely 8 Diagrams. Yint's in the building. What up? Yeah, I mean, Raekwon. There's a couple people who dislike Raekwon. He was a little irritating. He was a little ungrateful, But when you think about all the different gripes people had, right? And I know what y'all gonna say. But you, God, had a point also, because it's like all these guys were there from day one, contributed in one way or another, whether it was bars or whatever. And to not even have, like, obviously eventually he got a record deal, but to not even have, I don't know, a record deal on the lowest label they could find just seemed a little crazy to me. But hey, it is what it is. All right, what else went down? Success, but everybody, what's that? Okay, the other thread or the other theme to me that I witnessed was the clan wasn't always together. And it makes sense that they weren't always together, right? Because like, someone mentioned in the chat, they had their own successes. Raekwon was highly successful with Purple Tape, right? Ghostface is starting to see his own success, not only with his involvement with the Wu, Purple Tape, verses on Liquid Swords, then eventually his own album in Iron Man, the remixes they did on R&B records and all of that. So Ghost is just as big as a star. So everybody kind of got things going on, right? Business. Me and Ray and Ghost gonna be here, and we can't find Dirty. This is what I want to ask y'all, because I've been saying it the whole season. So they telling me that Method Man was on the bus the whole fucking season, right? Now, of course, I'm being a little facetious, but I'm saying, what the hell was going on with Dave East as Method Man? And I'll tell you one thing. when he supposedly came out with the mask on at the end to perform, I don't think that was Dave East. I know Method Man did, crazy, like half a hoodie on, half a ski mask on stage. And yeah, but that mask never came off when he was on stage. When he was on the bus, yeah, well, there's Meth. Then he showed up for Thanksgiving. I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, obviously Meth was everywhere, with the whole Method Man and Redman thing and movies and stuff like that. So it's crazy. The dope comment here. Here we are. What's it? Rizzo always told everyone to step up their lyrical game. Meth, Jizza, Dirty Ray, and Ghost did. And that's why they got solo deals first. People forget RZA put his own solo career on hold for these guys. Yeah, but what about Inspector Deck? Like, telling me he ain't step up? Like, he was the first one on Liquid Swords when everybody was partying and doing everything else. So, well, I see what you said. I see a comment now about Rebel Lioness catching a break. But at the same time, everybody put work in. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, it's how things go, right? If you've watched any episode of Unsung, especially with groups, it don't matter if it's hip hop or soul or whatever, they all play out the same way, right? The fame hits big and it's quick and everybody's getting paid and are stars and stuff like that. And then later on, when the hits stop coming or the stardom dies down a little bit, then everybody pays attention to the contracts, right? Or they just start to notice, well, he owns his house. Why don't I own my house? Or he bought a new car. I can't afford a car. I'm still doing this. And it all goes back to the contracts. So, and we know it kind of spirals, through the years with them having disputes over contracts and stuff like that. Even to this day, they're still arguing in the same exact way. So I feel like the show was pretty on brand with showing that. It wasn't just they're young. Like, nah, they did that for the next couple of years. What else? So let's talk about the tour with Rage Against the Machine. Is there anybody in here right now, or if you're watching this later, that caught, I guess, whatever part of the tour that still featured Wu-Tang? I like Rage Against the Machine, so the Wu at that time touring with Rage Against the Machine at that time would have been crazy. I was in school and I was broke. Was not happening. But what did y'all think about that, right? Like, they're on this huge tour that can take their music worldwide, open them up to different fans. I mean, it did in a lot of ways. But you could tell the brothers weren't feeling the crowd. Not personally, but the fact that it's a majority white crowd. They're teaming up with not a hip hop band, but a rock band. And them eventually embracing it, but just the apprehension from all of the clan members about even being a part of it. I remember that time, but not like vividly, because I think the thing that stood out to me more is what they didn't show, which was the whole situation with Hot 97, and them eventually getting blackballed as a result. But man, even that has some shady tactics. Some of it was on the clan. But since we're on the subject of stepping up, right? Well, the clan wasn't really stepping up. They were jeopardizing the tour by not being on time in most cases, not having all the members there. And I do remember that. And we're not even talking about stadiums. I remember plenty of times back in the days, like having a homie say he went to a Wu-Tang concert and it was like RZA, Jack, U-God, and Mathematics. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what? Like, you know what I mean? Also, E Major was on this show. Said himself, he went to a Wu-Tang concert only Old Dirty Bastard was there. Imagine that, right? Now that could be a flyer thing, right? A club owner, it's like, oh, I got Old Dirty from the Wu. Well, are you just going to say Old Dirty's coming through, which shouldn't be a problem? It wasn't a problem for Eve. You're going to say the Wu is here, right? And what's so crazy about that is the fact that it was Old Dirty that showed up to that show. But I think in this episode, they did a good job, and you've seen it coming where, everybody had different responsibilities and wants and needs and all of that, and it just kind of showed that they were a little bit irresponsible when it came to their celebrity and their fans. And when I say their fans, I'm talking about all their fans, because they just couldn't, I guess, fathom that crowd was there to see them also. You know what I mean? And it was a little unfair to those who were putting in work, and it was unfair to those that were promoting it. And there's a ton of people working on these shows to make them what they are. But I think it was dope to show that dynamic, because a lot of times you see like a concert movie or whatever where it's like one star. Oh, he won't come out the dressing room and blah blah blah, and he come out the last minute and tear it down. But imagine trying to wrangle all these dudes that have to be on stage as a part of this group. And almost every night they're jeopardizing the bag, which is crazy. Let's get into some comments now. I don't know if y'all talking to each other or you talking about what's what. Let's see. 90% of hip hop crowds today are white, so they would not have reacted like that today. Facts. That is major facts. I'll tell you this. I remember the first time. This was like early 2000s. I think early 2000s. When did Rakim come back? I can't remember. It's been a long time, but it was around that time he did a show, and it was a photo in XXL on one of them joints. And I saw the crowd. It was just all white people. And I had never seen that before. And I know it probably existed, right? I wasn't going to a ton of shows. But I was like, wow, they're the ones supporting, which is sad, So I agree that does not happen. Let's see. Here's another comment. RZA and Divine told them he wanted 5 years to take them to the top, and he delivered. True. Wu-Tang Forever was #1 worldwide. In an era where there was no social media, people don't understand how big that was. Divine, is that you? Nah, I'm just joking. Nah, but you're telling the truth, man. I mean, they said it, they manifested it, it happened. So I can't argue that. Ray hating on Master Killer being added as the 9th member cannot be accurate. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's one of those things where they just kind of did it for TV, but who knows? My Type of Hype, talking about that concert. It was promoted as a Wu show, and only ODB showed up. He killed it, though. Rapped everyone's verses. Damn. He was drunk as hell. He rapped everybody's verses. Man, there got to be footage of that. That's crazy. What happened to Cap? Now, brother, you like me. He was there. It's just that I didn't recognize him half the time. Because if Mathematics didn't talk about spinning a record, I would not know who he was. Right? I kept thinking, oh, there go Capadonna. I was just looking at the clothes like that got to be him. But yeah, he was there. Big facts. A lot of the clan members who were complaining failed to recognize that they had more fans than just those in the hood. Absolutely true. My Type of Hype says, I felt sorry for RZA. The tour manager was well within his rights to act the way he did, if we were keeping it real. Yeah, man. Yeah, I honestly, it's one of those things that when I was watching this episode, and I'm trying to analyze it at the same time, enjoying it, and I felt like now you can see a division between maturity and those that are being immature, and some of those that are maturing along the way, and those that took the time to understand the business and understand they're going to have to take a couple of L's in order to win, versus those who just wanted to win. I think the scene where Power comes and he just sits down with them, right? With who was there, Ray and Ghost and you God, right? And he's just telling them, where we did this, so we can keep it in the family, but we sold this so we can still get some of that money to keep it going and capital. Like, Power was good, right? He was in a good space. And it was dope to see all them dudes contributed until you God felt some kind of way. And I'm just going to keep it real, right? Everybody was saying that about you God. Why you mad at Power? Why'd you bite him? In the face? Is that what happened? I don't know. But I thought it was a hilarious scene, but originally it started out as Power just throwing that knowledge at them, saying, yo, RZA, you gave him 5 years, that man is in charge. Any question he asks you is a courtesy. He don't have to do it. Your name is on the dotted line. And it sounds harsh, knowing how, they all made this happen. But at the end of the day, educate yourself, just saying. Educate yourself. What's another thread? So, I'll say this. I think overall, when we're talking about a final episode to end a television series that most of us like, if anybody didn't like the season, please leave your comment in the comment section below, because I do want to hear from people who, maybe you felt it was whack, or maybe you kind of watched it because your friends was watching it, or whatever the reason may be. If you were disappointed, whatever it may be. But I kind of felt like, when I'm thinking about series I like, the final episode, you know what it felt like? Now, I'm not here to debate no other TV shows being the greatest of all time, but I feel like The Wire is. It felt like that. Like The Wire's final episode was like, we can't just leave these threads open. We got to close the loop or go on to the next thing. So everybody kind of got a moment. Every character that was still active in that show sort of got a moment to say, I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm going there, right? This kind of felt like that in some ways, but they were building towards that. But I felt like some of that, future outlook stuff happened when they were in the club, which let's talk about that. I think for RZA, and this was, for those who don't know, this was prior to them going on the tour or whatever. This was like the success of Wu-Tang Forever. And they're in the club, and he's like, yo, my brother here, blah, blah, blah. We celebrate, but we don't feel like we're together, right? And then eventually we see all of them. And he rolls up at the bar, and there's Inspector Deck. Now, y'all know how I feel about Inspector Deck. Not Inspector Deck, the dude playing him. And at first, he was cool, right? He was at the bar, he had his little drink, probably thinking of some dope rhymes. And, RZA started talking to him, and then he started doing that damn look again. And I'm like, yo, what is wrong with this guy? But I agree. In that moment, I did feel a little sorry for him, because he said, yo, I'm a soldier, And I felt bad, because I was like, damn, right. He still didn't have his deal yet. And you're seeing everybody else. Now, I ain't gonna front. When Ghost stepped up to the bar and RZA was like, yo, you got a fur on in the club? I had no problems with that. It's Ghostface. Of course he got a fur on in the club. What you talking about? But I will say, I know people who literally left this episode hating Raekwon, which like, cause everything like, oh damn, the Wu-Tang Forever is number one. You in the club, you're not even gonna come over and say what's up to RZA. It was just it was just interesting how they played him. I wonder what Raekwon thinks. You know what I'm saying? Let's get some more comments in here, so I'm not doing all the damn talking. Let's see. Eddie says they didn't really dispute what Power was saying. You got Penn was weakest in the clan. Does everybody feel like that? I'm not saying I feel different, but I always used to feel like him and Master Killer were neck and neck when it comes to that. You guys' recent joints are good. I will say, well, some of those joints you named, I don't even know, but I would agree when it comes to Dopey because I have it. Shout out to Kill. Kill always says, "Oh well, the whole clan on it, so of course it's good." Man, that's not why I like it. Maybe it is. I don't know. Who knows? Sort of. What did it say? Sort of on some new edition biopic-ish. Yeah, I kind of got that vibe too. Ultimately, what is there not to like? We lived it, and now we get to watch. Well, I will say this. When I did these reviews, I purposely wanted to have people who had different experiences with the Wu. My brother, shout out to him, was someone who found the music after the show was on, right? Of course, he heard the singles and he knew of the Wu, and he liked Method Man, he liked all these different people, but some of us, probably like yourself, would like day one with the Wu. So it's a lot of what's being displayed is like a revelation for him, whereas we're kind of looking for the things that we know. Too many dope MCs in the Wu. You God wasn't on the lower tier. Wait, what is it? I God wasn't on the lower tier. I assume you meant You God. Let's see. Now this is a thing that I saw online after the final episode premiered. I hope someone else picks up another Wu series and gives us a true biographical series instead of this Hollywood BS. Keep it historically accurate. I would say no, because that's why they released Mics and Men. So when it comes to television, they're going to take liberties and they're going to change things up to make them entertaining, because real life sometimes can be boring to watch. Well, unless it's reality TV, people fighting and stuff. But I think that's why when right before the Hulu series started, the Showtime documentary, Mics and Men, started, and that was real. That was everything you want. But I don't think we're ever going to get that. Let's see. Ray was on some BS. Got to listen to his audio book. True that. Ray was a hustler after Cuban Links. He just wanted more control. Yep, I'm not mad at that. Even the way Ray snatched the paper from the fan in the Wu store, right? Yeah, they kind of had him like, yeah, why you acting like an asshole? What's this? Let's see. The way they performed "It's Yours" was the highlight for me. Yeah, it was pretty dope, because I've had my complaints about, some of the performances, not just acting, but reciting the songs. But it didn't take me out of the experience to watch them. It's just that I was looking at Meth like, that's not him. We know that's not him because he's on the bus. He's been on the bus the whole damn season. It is. Yes, the BSF documentary compared to the dramatized show. Yep, exactly. If you want to learn about the real BMF, don't watch the show. You watch the show after you watch the documentary. Then you know. I like the actor as Dennis, not Ghost. Yeah. Now Ghost, Dennis would say they're one and the same. But I get what you mean. I think, but you know what I think it is? Because we know Ghost more intimately than we know Dennis. So with Dennis, we could just watch and learn. I'm banging the table and the whole screen shaking. So with Dennis, we could just watch uh, his life play out and without any real judgment on how. But once he's Ghostface, well, now we're looking for the things we know, and everything is up for debate and critiques. And I'm with you because I'm the big. He's not the worst, but I just wanted him to be more like Ghost, man. Just say the look. He was doing it, but it just wasn't. Like sometimes Ghost say shit that don't make sense. Like say that. But I get it. Television. Let's just appreciate this for what it is. Actually, just art. True that. So let me ask y'all this, right? The whole series is over now. I personally do not want a fourth season. I think the way it ended was good enough for what it was. 3 seasons, that's fine. I don't want to see it get to a point where I just stop watching, right? That's happened with a number of shows I watch where I just stopped watching. And I used to love the show, but I had to, right? Walking Dead, I'm looking at you. What do y'all think about this series as a whole? And do you want another hip hop biopic television program? Because I don't know if some of y'all remember, but after the New Edition series was over, the whole rumors of there being one about Nas. Would y'all want that? What rapper or group you feel, knowing what you may know about their lives, would basically make for a good television program? Because honestly, I think Jay-Z would make for a really good show. When you know, I mean, everybody got an upbringing that may make for a good show, but I think from where he started and the fact that his story is similar to RZA and Genius, how he was in the rap game, but it wasn't really panning out for him. And even when he was a little bit older and he wasn't with Jaz-O, he was still trying to get in the game, and he was being denied to the point, like the Wu, he kind of had to make things happen for himself. He had to get himself hot. And then eventually, we know all the trials and tribulations through there. I just think it would make for a good series. Now, obviously, it doesn't have to be a dude. It could be any of the ladies in hip hop. Let's see what y'all say. If you did grow up with the roots. Let's see. Eddie says Outcast / Dungeon Fam series would be interesting. I think I would like that because I don't know that much, to be honest. I didn't get to watch the documentaries yet, but I would love to know the relationship between the real relationship. Not that they're fake in public, but I would like to know a little bit more about the relationship between Big Boy and Andre, and the production and how they came about and all that good stuff, and anything else that's around it. Let's see what else we got up here. Yent says Gangstar series. I don't know. Well, that could be interesting too. Because when you think about it, for years, me being from Brooklyn, I thought they were from Brooklyn. But to know that this dude is from Boston and the DJ is from Texas, and what they created and the influence and their backgrounds, it could make for an interesting series. Let's see what else we got. Love the series and would love to see more. What else? Here go a few. MOP. They gonna have to put that one on like Vice because like I don't know if I want to see MOP join. Or maybe I do. Who knows? Queen Latifah. Queen Latifah might be a dope one. Yep. Because if you look at Queen Latifah's life, especially like where she is today, the entire timeline of her career and her life would be kind of crazy to watch. It would be interesting. Naughty by nature would be drama, like because they had a lot of drama, man. I don't know. I don't want to like walk away from the show feeling bad and shit. Like I don't know. I see some people say Tribe. Yep. I would like to see that. Tribe Called Quest. Yent, EPMD, Def Squad, Hit Squad series. Plenty of drama. The only thing I will say is a lot of these wouldn't get made. You know why? Because Wu-Tang is worldwide. We know MOP, right? Gangstar is not as popular, right? It would have to be someone who is pretty much known by the masses. And I think, there's just certain groups, like even EPMD, it feels weird to say that, but even like EPMD, now look what he put, Death Row Record Series. First of all, that's another one that had to be on Vice. We done seen that so much, and it's probably crazy. It's a Death Row series. Nah, but maybe you're right. Because we be tuned in every week to see Vanilla Ice or whoever jumped the piss. See when it happened. T.I. Yeah, maybe. LL Cool J. Yeah, now this is the only thing with LL. And it goes back to a comment from earlier. I wouldn't mind seeing it, but I want to know something that I don't know. And I don't want it coming from him as far as like what he greenlights because how he wants to look. Like if something crazy or some things crazy happen in LL's life, I want to know. Like the fact that he was kind of like hanging around Supreme Team and all of that. Like I want all of that in it because you don't really like LL doesn't rap about those kinds of things. You know what I'm saying? So you don't know what he dealt with that was around him. He's done an excellent job of having an image and based off his music, right? Whereas I could see it'd be crazy. And LL is pretty popular, so pretty popular because he's the GOAT, but we're not gonna go there, all right? Vanilla Ice versus MC Hammer beef. We don't want to see that. We don't want to see that. Tribe Outkast will probably get the back end. Yep, I can agree. Uncle L's autobiography is crazy. Never read. See, here we go now. See, now you're just playing. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett's entanglement. Okay. But yeah, man, I think there are a number of MCs or whatever we could possibly get a show about. Honestly, I'll say this before we shut it down. After the NWA movie, I wanted a Public Enemy movie because I think they're just as popular, right? And I think they have a dynamic that would make for a great film or show or whatever, based off of the different personalities and the things they dealt with. I just think it would make for a great biography. I don't know if it'd be television, but I think they're popular enough, and honestly, like the time is right for whatever it may be, a biopic, a television series. And I would want it to be short, right? Not try to go 10 seasons. The just keep it to what works, because the RZA said after this series finale aired, and I tend to agree with him. is that Wu-Tang set the bar for hip hop television shows, and I agree. Um, but let's just look at what the Wu had, right? It had the popularity, it had all the different personalities and members and moments. Um, but it wasn't just rappers, right? You really dived into uh, RZA as a producer. I think that added another layer to it. So with a group like Public Enemy, obviously there's the Bomb Squad, but unfortunately you don't hear about the Bomb Squad's production the way you should. Um, so I don't know if we would get elements like that. Uh, yes, Run DMC, that will be another one. Maybe Run DMC should be the next one because they got a lot of stories too. So it is what it is. But that is it. Wu-Tang and American Saga is over. 3 seasons, some ups and downs. Um, if you are watching this, not live, but watching this taped, what do you think about this series now that it's over? Do you think there should be another season? Do you think they should do another rapper or group or whatever, whether it's Hulu or whoever it may be? Also, I kind of, well, I don't want to spoil anything, but I kind of feel like we got to get something because there has to be some form of popularity around this. I don't know if it's doing crazy numbers for Hulu or what. I mean, they didn't cancel it. And originally, I believe they only signed on for 1 season. So we can see what happens. I don't know. We don't know. We could just only hope. Big shout out to everybody who came through and commented and shared their thoughts. Also, everybody who joined me as far as reviewing the single episodes this season, shout out to them. It was pretty dope to talk about this, and maybe there's something else along the lines that we can do the same kind of format, whether it's a television show or a documentary series or whatever. It's 50 years of hip hop. I'm pretty sure something's on the way. I know they got the Phoenix Shakur thing, and they got a Jay Dilla thing, and PBS did a special. So we shall see. We'll see. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Vegas Raw INC. And if you like what you're seeing right here on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, comment, and share with people you know enjoy this kind of content. If you are listening on the audio side, please know that this podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. All you have to do is type in the search bar of your favorite podcasting app, Hip Hop Now Podcast, hit subscribe, and stay locked into hip hop content like this. Till next time, y'all, I'm not a critic, I'm a fan. Peace.